He says that these are the people who are going to rebuild Kenya after we have gone through so much with regards to this COVID-19. There was also the proposal from President Uhuru Kenyatta and the worry actually that we could lose as much as 500,000 jobs. Remember, up to now, this is just over 30-something days since we announced the first case of corona. The numbers from government is that we've lost about 130,000 jobs this far. Now, these numbers could actually increase, and that is the biggest worry. But there is optimism that is coming from both the president and the unionist. This is that here, Dennis, actually, that people are not even expecting a pay rise. The only thing that most people are praying for is that, please do not sack me. And that is the clarion call from most people. As we've already seen, most companies are already in that mode whereby they are cutting salaries for their employees. And this is happening all over most sectors in this country. There has been that clarion call by President Uhuru Kenyatta that this is that time that we as Kenyans should actually come together. And if we do come together, then there is that possibility that in that unity, we will be geared towards recovery or full recovery of the economy. There is that also clarion call from the president that this is the time to build Kenya, to buy Kenya and build Kenya. It does not care what it is. He says that that face mask that you're buying from Kitui is as good as any other mask that is coming from any part of this country. There is the cars, there is Kenyans who are being urged to even visit these parks after this pandemic is over. But also there is that thing that President Uhuru Kenyatta said, that it is not time for us as Kenyans and mostly the politicians to come and just pelt and engage in petty politics, if I might quote him. And President Uhuru Kenyatta was very categorical that this is the time that Kenyans should come together, be it any leader from any walk of life. Remember also President Uhuru Kenyatta even questioning the spending of money from the Ministry of Health. And with regards to this Ministry of Health, President Uhuru Kenyatta has given an assurance that any single coin that has been put either from the government or from well-wishers will be audited to the last coin. There have been concerns that as much as 1 billion shillings has been used with regards to spending money, and even 70 million shillings on media on a daily basis. So there have been those concerns, and President Uhuru Kenyatta has taken time to address such concerns, saying that that money will be audited. He has also defended his move to give flowers to the UK nurses and those people on the front line, saying that any time that this pandemic is over, those countries that we've given flowers to, the first thing they will remember is that Kenya stood with us, and if we need to buy anything, then we will buy from them. But it was not also devoid of politics, Dennis. And there is this part just before I return to you, and Otuli was very categorical that he would want to see this pandemic behind Kenyans so that we could get back to BBI talk. He has spoken so much with regards to politics and those players in politics. And in these statements, those people like me who have been covering Atwoli for quite some time know that he was hitting out at Deputy President William Ruto in almost all his attacks when he was talking on this Labor Day. And he has actually even said that he will not want to see the relationship between President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga broken. So these are some of the issues that have come up, but we are preparing an elaborate bulletin later for 7 and 9 o'clock. But right now, this is what President Uhuru Kenyatta said at that Labor Day celebration at State House, Nairobi.
As a government, we are working to flatten the corona curve. But fundamentally, I want us also to work together to flatten and crush the curve of joblessness. And this, fellow Kenyans, we will do and we shall do together. Over the coming weeks, I will give some practical directions on post-COVID-19 pandemic social economic recovery strategies. And on this, we shall work together with all the leaders of our land, because this is a moment that requires each and every one of us. I want to assure the workers that we have their back, and I will do everything to protect them from the economic downturn, but also from political opportunists who feed their ambitions on the misery of workers. Fellow Kenyans, I do believe tutakomesha corona na tutatoka kwa hii janga na uchumi wetu utarudi.
Well, Dennis, that is the clarion call from President Uhuru Kenyatta. Ana uhakika kuwa tutakomesha corona. And that is the clarion call that we are being called upon as Kenyans to flatten this curve, as it is one of those diseases that we are very fearing. But I know we are going to have so many stories on this. Yesterday we had another on Kawangware and the dangers that lie therein. But this is something that President Uhuru Kenyatta is very confident that we will rebound back as a country if we have those concerted efforts. Back to you, Dennis.
Many thanks, Kennedy Mureithi. Indeed, it is regrettable that coronavirus has robbed workers and employees the opportunity to celebrate this year's Labor Day. And it's difficult to say Happy Labor Day, but we will just go as the times are going to be very, very unpredictable. But away from the Labor Day celebration, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says anyone implicated in the misuse of funds meant for the fight of COVID-19 pandemic will be dismissed with immediate effect. In an exclusive interview with NTV's Seth Olale earlier today, Kagwe has also announced that his ministry will streamline the managements of both KEMRI and National Influenza Laboratory centers to serve the key purpose of curbing the coronavirus pandemic. And now Seth joins us from Afia House. Seth, you had this very exclusive interview with the CS yesterday. He went on Facebook and posted his regrets that people are talking about misuse of these funds. And he lashed out at those people who he deems as trying to undercut his efforts in leading the fight against coronavirus. Seth, what else did he say?
Well, good afternoon, Dennis Okari, and indeed you did manage to introduce me after that exclusive interview. Yes, very tough words from the Cabinet Secretary. He's terming this as a distractor and saying that, you know what, in as much as it has made headlines, it is quite now in the public domain that, of course, Kenyans are raising eyebrows in regards to priorities taken, especially in the spending by the Ministry of Health. And he did say that anyone, and I repeat, found to have misused money meant for the fight against COVID-19 pandemic will be dismissed with immediate effect. And those tough words coming from the Cabinet Secretary for Health, saying that a detailed report is forthcoming in regards to the priorities taken by the authorities in regards to making sure that they contain this particular pandemic. Remember that today it is the 48th day since the first case was confirmed, but also the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, did mention politics that he termed as also derailment towards the fight against COVID-19. And he did say that his ministry will take decisive measures to ensure that it streamlines the agencies that have been implicated in politicking. And he did mention KEMRI, that is the Kenya Medical Research, and as well as the National Influenza Control Center. And he did say that, of course, there have been issues in regards to promotions and demotions, but he says that now the issues have been politically, and he says that political issues will be resolved politically, and he's terming this as a setback towards the ministry's concentration in fighting the pandemic. But even of essence is that in that exclusive interview earlier on, Dennis, that he did indicate that they will keep their eyes on the ball. They will not be distracted, and they will leave it up to the accounting officer in the Ministry of Health to come out clean and give the details in terms of which money was spent where, and any money that is unaccounted for, they will need answers to that. And anyone implicated in misappropriation of funds, decisive action will be taken against him, not only at the ministry level, but also in terms of looking it as a criminal activity, and therefore involving the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. But even most importantly, he wants Kenyans not to drop guard against the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, warning that this month is also going to be crucial for health authorities in monitoring the trends. We're talking about the measures undertaken since this particular pandemic was announced, talking about social distancing, talking about sanitization as well as fumigation, and of course we know that the curfew is still in force, and of course the travel restrictions are still underway in the 5 counties, that is Nairobi, Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, and lately Mandera counties. We're talking about cessation of movements, and so we expect another briefing today from the Ministry of Health. I know that they're planning to do it differently. They're trying out how they're going to relay daily informations differently, but even to get a clear picture of what the CS said in regards to cracking the whip on those fraudulent officials found to have misused ministry money towards the fight against pandemic. Let's listen in to Mutahi Kagwe, the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
There is no COVID money that is going to be misused, and that you can take from me. We are not going to misuse COVID money. That is number one. And everything will be clarified completely. Yesterday we even sat with our donors and they agreed and they saw what we are saying. They are in fact encouraged us. They are adding us more money to fight the disease. That's number one. And number two is to say that not only are we going to remain transparent, but persons who make anything, anybody who touches a single cent from this COVID, we will be dismissed. You know, we'll be moved out of the systems that we have got here.
Mutahi Kagwe, the CS for Health, was expected to be part of today's afternoon briefing, but that will depend whether himself will give that update or any other ministry, senior ministry official will do that. Dennis, even as I hand over to you, remember that earlier on there was also another very important event here at the Ministry of Health headquarters. We're talking about a partnership between the Nation Media Group and the Ministry of Health, and Nation Media Group, represented by the CEO, did say that it will continue doing its role in sensitizing and giving information about the measures that Kenyans need to undertake in regards to the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, but also the Nation Media Group has announced that it will roll out a 2-month exclusive free issuing of online newspaper content to the frontline warriors in the war against COVID. We're talking about health workers. So for 2 months, all the health workers in this country will receive exclusive free online content courtesy of Nation Media Group and the Ministry of Health partnership. Back to you, Daniels.
Well, many thanks, Seth Olale. Great partnership there between Nation Media Group and the Ministry of Health, and also looking forward to more of that exclusive report that you are preparing for us. And still on COVID-19, Kilifi County officially has no existing COVID-19 cases after the only 6 patients it had got cured and were discharged from hospital. Speaking at the Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI labs in Kilifi town, Governor Amason Kingi was happy to announce that there are no new positive cases of COVID-19 that have been reported in the county. At least 499 people were tested for COVID-19 and only 6 tested positive last month and were taken to the Jibana Isolation Center. The 6 were released after testing negative twice. The county has started mass testing, starting with its health workers, and on Tuesday, 10 journalists were among those who got tested at the Kilifi County Hospital. He, however, urged residents to continue observing the protocols and measures issued by the government. Currently, KEMRI Kilifi has a capacity to test 100 samples in a day.
The 6 cases that were confirmed a month ago have all fully recovered. We discharged the last 2 yesterday from our isolation center in Jibana. So as we speak, they are at home. We are not out of the woods yet. We don't know exactly what the mass testing will give us, and therefore my appeal to the people of Kilifi is to continue implementing the protocols and the measures that have been communicated by the 2 levels of government to make sure that we stay safe.
The University of Eldoret has partnered with herbalists in a bid to research on herbs that can help cure the coronavirus. Speaking in Eldoret while donating foodstuffs to Uasin Gishu County Commissioner's office, the university's Vice-Chancellor Professor Teresa Akenga said the herbalists played a very crucial role in research, hence the need for their inclusion in research work. Uasin Gishu County Commissioner Jaldasa Abdi Risak called on well-wishers to continue supporting the needy in the society, especially during these tough economic times when majority of Kenyans were facing challenges occasioned by the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic.
With the herbalists, try and identify if there are any traditional medicines or active ingredients in the traditional medicines that can help treat this virus, the coronavirus, or can help alleviate the symptoms of the virus.
Tuungane mkono wakati hii ya COVID-19 pandemic ili tuweze kusaidia hasa jamii wetu ambao hawajiwezi. Kwa hivyo University of Eldoret imejitolea na ni wa kwanza kwa upande wa learning institutions zetu katika Uasin Gishu kurespond kwa apili yetu hapa kwa county.
Well, it's 18 minutes past the hour. Time for a short break. I'll be back with more stories. You're watching NTV at 1.
Rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Sonadol Extra imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli kupambana haraka na maumivu ya kichwa, mwili na hata meno. Sonadol Extra, hakika maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Mount Kenya University takes pride in being an academic giant with some of the best infrastructure, imparting knowledge to the best brains in the country and the region. Our members of faculty are keen to deliver market-driven programs in science and humanities with a keen focus on linkages with relevant organizations. We admit both self-sponsored and government-sponsored students under the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service. Join us today and train with the best to become the best. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
Welcome back to NTV at 1. Residents of Liter Chesegon have called on the government to take advantage of the additional month of school's closure to relocate and build a new school for Liter Girls High School. This follows landslides demolishing the facility which sits along the Elgeyo-Marakwet and West Pokot border. By the recent landslides, our reporter Gabriel Kudaka visited the school that had been set up to foster peace between the two warring communities and files the following report.
Images that greet you as you arrive at what was once Liter Girls High School on the border of West Pokot and Elgeyo-Marakwet counties, a pale shadow of its former self. A piece of broken desk here, torn and muddy books there, a broken chair and dilapidated walls are the only evidence that a school once existed here. Kennedy Biwot, a parent, witnessed the deluge.
Nikaona mkurumo ya maji imeenda kwa hii mtoni na hii mtoni ya pande. Kidogo nikaona pashi ya shule imeletwa. Paka nikaita driver, nikamwambia driver unapeleka wapi gari? Nilikuwa pale. Kumbe maji alikuwa akipepa hiyo gari.
Kama wanafunzi wote wa shule hii walikuwako na walimu wao, nafikiri tungepoteza wote. Tunashukuru Mungu hiki kifanyike wakati hawakwako.
Most of the buildings in this institution could not withstand the force, and the presence of this huge tree trunk inside the library points to the magnitude of the landslide.
Hadi sasa tumetumia kama mwezi 3, na ukiona kwa hii kengo hii 2 kosi lake ilikuwa 12 million, na
Vile ukiona saa hii imeenda out kabisa, hakuna.
Only a few items were salvaged days later. The hope is that the bonds of peace and brotherhood will withstand the vagaries of the weather. Gabriel Kudaka, NTV.
One person has died as multiple landslides hit several parts of Nyeri County following a night of heavy rains. The unidentified man was buried under mudslides that hit Witemere area of Majengo slums in Nyeri town. He was sleeping when his house was swept downhill at around midnight. Efforts to rescue the man were hampered by heavy rains that pounded the county overnight. Residents of the area conducted a search and retrieval of the body on Friday morning as the Nyeri County emergency and rescue teams remained conspicuously absent during the operation. The absence of government agencies irked locals, sparking protests through the Majengo slums. Locals refused to hand over the body to the police, accusing them of complacency. Police were forced to watch from a distance as the residents carried the body all the way to Nyeri County Referral Hospital mortuary. Business in flower farms has slowly started blooming following the reopening of the global export markets and increased cargo flights by the national carrier. The COVID-19 pandemic has seen hundreds of flower farms on the verge of closure, declaring hundreds of workers jobless. Lillian Kiare with more details.
For the last 2 months, life has not been a bed of roses. The thorny part seems to be getting behind us, as flower farms in Naivasha have slowly returned to work and started exporting the produce. This has been credited to the reopening of the Alsima flower auctions in the Netherlands, the single largest flower market in the world, and increased cargo flights by Kenya Airways, a feat that has now seen farms increase their shipment by 50% in the last 2 weeks.
Now currently you see things reopening slowly a bit again. Currently we're throwing about 20%, and we, like I said, we have uprooted about 15% of the farm earlier than planned because of the situation. But like last week we were throwing over 50%.
After the Kenya Airways came back, we are now sending, not exactly the way we used to be, but we are sending, at least we are selling something.
Jack Nippers, the MD at Maridadi Flower Farm, says they are now shipping out flowers 4 times a week, unlike in the past when daily production went to waste. He says that stringent measures, including screening of temperatures and provision of masks for their workers, have been put in place to keep COVID-19 away from the farms.
Wakati huo mwingine tulikuwa na wakati mgumu, lakini kulingana na sasa hivi venye tunaendelea kazi, tunaendelea kuchapa vizuri na hata sisi tunafurahia sisi wenyewe.
The drop in exports had drastically reduced consumption in Europe, which serves as the largest market, and had left jobs for hundreds hanging on a thread. The slow return to normalcy is now a light at the end of the tunnel. Flower exports contributed 113 billion shillings in 2018, pushing the horticulture sector to be the 3rd largest contributor to the economy after diaspora remittance and tourism. Lillian Kiarie, NTV.
So for now, I think we know why the reason why President Kenyatta was very, very upset and today spoke about this, because Kenyans were lashing out at Uhuru Kenyatta because of the decision to send flowers to doctors fighting COVID-19 in the UK. This ignited wrath from Kenyans, especially on Twitter, but today has responded, and just want to quote in Swahili what he said: lazima tuangalie mbele, coronavirus will not be here with us forever. Hayo maua yanaandika wafanyikazi maelfu na elfu hapa Kenya. It's sort of like a marketing thing going on for him. It's time now for sports with Ida.
Never a dull moment in Kenya. Thanks a lot for that, Dennis. And yes, it is time for sports. Do hope that you are having a lovely Labor Day. Well, following Tennis Kenya's successful distribution of foodstuffs to needy tennis families affected by the coronavirus pandemic, they are now appealing for more support. The Stay at Love campaign aims to feed 50 tennis families for the next 3 months. Now, the distribution started Thursday at Nairobi Club, which is currently closed to the public but opened for this purpose alone. The second distribution was done at St. John's Community Centre, where many tennis players from the Eastlands area train at. Now, the third distribution centre is in Mombasa, and this particular campaign will be continuing as the weeks go by. Fantastic initiative there. Let's cross borders. Paris Saint-Germain, I do beg your pardon, have been awarded the League One title after it was announced that the season would not resume because of the coronavirus pandemic. PSG were 12 points clear at the top of the table with a game in hand when French football was suspended indefinitely on 13th March. Earlier this week, the French government cancelled the 2019-2020 sporting season. The club said that they wished to dedicate the title to healthcare staff and all the everyday heroes on the front line. Before the government's intervention, French football's governing body had been hoping to resume the season on 17th June. Amiens and Toulouse will be relegated from League One. From that to the English Premier League, where side Chelsea has asked its foreign-based players to return to England by Sunday as the EPL explores whether it can resume the season by June. Several players, including Brazilian duo of Willian and Emerson, as well as American Christian Pulisic, were allowed to travel home after coronavirus led to the league suspension on 13th March. The government is set to introduce a 14-day quarantine period for those arriving from outside the UK from as early as Friday. While some clubs have allowed their players to train individually at their respective training grounds, Chelsea are yet to open up their Cobham facility. Premier League clubs are set to discuss the next steps during a video conference call on Friday. That wraps it up for sports for now. We will be back again in the 9 p.m. bulletin. For now, it's back to Dennis.
Many thanks, Ida. We'll have more sports at 9 with Sean Cadavillas, and I'll be seeing you at 9. In the meantime, remember, we have our subsequent bulletins, not at 4, but at 7. Have a great afternoon and be safe. My name is Dennis Okari.
Ensure that all your transactions are free from elements of uncertainty and gambling by only investing your money differently. Bank on strong partnerships where generated profits and risks are shared by both parties. Bank different with Gulf African Bank. Call us on 0711 075 000 or SMS join to 21981. May God protect us. Ramadan Mubarak.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain.
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Did you know Mwalimu Plus e-tutor provides your child with personalized learning and is free for class 4 and 6. Class 3, 5, 7 and 8 pay 50% or 5 bob a day. Did you know that the Mwalimu Plus system guides children while they work on problems? At Mwalimu Plus, our main focus is on e-learning.
The app is free for class 4 and 6, and class 3, 5, 7 and 8 pay 50% or pay just 5 bob a day. Download the Mwalimu Plus app on Google Play, register and watch your child's performance improve.
basic protective measures as guided by the World Health Organization. Clean hands frequently with soap and clean water. Cover nose and mouth when coughing and sneezing with a tissue or flexed elbow. Avoid close contact 1 meter or 3 feet with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms. If you have fever, cough and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Avoid raw or uncooked animal products. Help the world put an end to the spread of respiratory diseases by sharing this message with a friend. Message brought to you by Sour Herbal Family Bath Soap.
Welcome.
Hello, madam.